Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to episode 53 of the Alec Walt Show. I'm your host, Alec Walt, alongside another very special guest. And today, we're talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. We are getting tough reports from Zion Williamson about his health, his weight, when he'll return to the court. Joining me to talk about all things Zion Williamson, New Orleans Pelicans, and more is Jordan Kliebert from ESPN Radio New Orleans. Jordan, welcome back, man. I appreciate you joining me.
Oh, I appreciate you. Third time now? Third time's a charm. So looking forward to talking about, the Pelicans and last night's game at the time of the recording, obviously. But
Yeah.
It didn't turn out too good for the Pelicans. But hopefully things will start turning around here in the near future.
So unfortunately, Jordan, when you join me here on the Alec Walt Show, we are not talking about the most positive things. I do promise you we'll ask you some more positive questions later in the show. But Jordan, we have to start here. The New Orleans Pelicans at the end of the season last year did not make the playoffs. We had expanded postseason, yet Zion Williamson still, unfortunately, wasn't there. He injured his foot in the offseason. Of course, when you deal with a foot injury, it's very tough to train. One of the biggest concerns with Zion Williamson was his weight, and we're now receiving reports that he weighed over 300 pounds and is not returning anytime soon. That is absolutely brutal for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a bunch of buddies, just a lot of people around, just covering the team, and it's kind of unheard of. I mean, a guy of Zion Williamson's stature and the amount of money that he has. You see what LeBron James does. How he keeps his body up to par during the offseason, and it's just kind of mind-boggling that Zion Williamson can't, get a nutritionist in there, even though he can't work out. He couldn't do a lot of physical things on the court or off the court. You got to think that he could have, probably eaten a little bit better while he was off the court to, keep him under that 300-pound range. So it's a lot of confusion from both parties. I think a lack of probably communication from the organization and Zion Williamson's part as well this offseason. So I know he was doing training by himself. So I think that has a lot to go into what happened and what's transpired.
It should certainly be concerning for a guy like David Griffin, who you and I both agreed the last time we spoke could be entering the hot seat here in 2021. That's the guy who said that this shouldn't be as big of a concern as it is. 2 months later, that's completely false.
Yeah, I mean, at media day, he was kind of talking about Zion Williamson being ready to go for the regular season. And I think that got kind of taken out of context. A lot of people here, a lot of fans here were thinking that's going to be at the start of the regular season, which was yesterday for the New Orleans Pelicans. But 2 weeks or a week ago, when he had his press conference kind of out of nowhere, and once we found out that Griffin was talking, it was quite bizarre because it was a random day that David Griffin was going to be speaking. So we pretty much assumed that it was going to be about Zion Williamson, how he won't be prepared for the first regular season game. And he made sure to tell the media that he never said it was, he was going to be ready for the start of the regular season. It was going to be somewhere down the road. And I think a lot of people here think that it was going to be in these next couple of weeks that he's going to return. But as you were saying, reports yesterday from Brian Windhorst, it looks like it's not going to be anytime soon. I was thinking or under the impression that 2 weeks, maybe he'll be back. Maybe they'll hold him off for another week to get him back into basketball shape or just some kind of physical stature to where he can, compete on the court. And I was looking at that Phoenix game on November 2nd when he's on national television for TNT. I was thinking he would return that night, but now question marks everywhere surround Zion Williamson and the Pelicans.
So what's your concern level with Zion?
I mean, he's still a very young player, but I mean, you're looking at all these other young guys in the league. I mean, you look at Ja Morant and you look at a bunch of these other players who, kind of came in around the same time as Zion. And it seems like they're making an immediate impact on the team. Zion, obviously, he's putting up monster stats when he is on the floor for the Pelicans, but they need a leader in him. And I just haven't really seen that from him just yet. I think he has the potential to, but he needs to be out on the court like everyone knows. I'm very concerned if he doesn't get the weight off of him and he stays consistent. You look at pictures from his senior year, or not senior year, but his final year at Duke, and then you look at a picture of last year or even today, and it's a completely different person. And that is what concerns me. It does. I'm not saying that it doesn't look like he's trying, but it seems like there's something off that wasn't there when he was at Duke.
So you look at the New Orleans Pelicans, obviously without Zion Williamson, it's a complete different team. You guys are 0-1 on the season. Before I jump into that opener against the Philadelphia 76ers, how long can the Pelicans wait here? Because if they're in the Western Conference, yes, there is expanded playoffs, but if they go a month or two playing like they did the other day or not getting a full version of Zion Williamson, I mean, they could disappear in this race pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, and that's the problem that the Pelicans have had the past couple of seasons is getting off to a slow start. And it seems like in the NBA, if you get off to a slow start, you're almost doomed for the rest of the season because you're always trying to dig yourself out of that hole. And for Pelicans fans, they felt that for the past couple of seasons to where you lose 6 or 7 games out of the first 15 or more, and you're already trying to dig yourself out of that hole, and it seems like you can never come back. And then players get injured, obviously, down the road because the season's very taxing on a lot of players. And once you get down, this is probably the healthiest that your team is going to be is at the start of the season. So if you don't get off to a fast start now, then you're almost doomed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, so you guys are already 0-1 on the season, like I mentioned, lost to a Philadelphia 76ers team that is dealing with a mess in the media right now due to the behavior of Ben Simmons. But no Ben Simmons, no problem. The Sixers are 1-0 after that game. You watched that matchup. Give me your takeaway of what you saw in the season opener for the New Orleans Pelicans.
So me personally, I wish Ben Simmons would have played last night because I think it would have caused a lot more controversy within the 76ers organization. I think there would have been a lot more storylines, a lot more uncertainties in that game. But I've talked to a lot of people the past, couple of hours. And I think there was a lot of good to take away out of the Pelicans. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he was a big storyline last night. He really stepped up for this team. Josh Hart went down. We just got reports that he's probably not going to be playing in tomorrow's matchup against the Chicago Bulls with a right quad tendinosis. That's a big blow. He was in the starting lineup last night. I know a lot of people were kind of, scratching their heads of why is Josh Hart in the starting lineup, but I don't think that was the main thing that had this Pelicans team losing last night. I just think the 76ers just simply got hot midway through the third quarter, and the Pelicans couldn't, keep up with them, and their defense kind of just fell apart in the second half and they never could recover. And Jonas Valanciunas, the guy that we're probably going to be talking about here shortly, he was 3 of 19 from the field. He had 1 3-point shot and the other 2 inside the paint, but I mean, that's almost unheard of from a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, just going 3 for 19 from the field. I don't think that's going to happen to him probably ever in the rest of his career. It just looked like he was missing shots left and right. But no, there was a lot of positive to take away. Brandon Ingram, he put up 26 shots. Surprisingly, didn't get to the free throw line at all last night after putting up 26 shots. But no, this team looks like they're very young. It looks like they have a lot of energy in them. And I think it's, still a long season ahead, and looking forward to seeing what they got in store for us.
So is this Nickeil Alexander-Walker, explosion here in game 1 something we could see consistent? Is he a guy you really think could secure a big role on this team in 2021?
Oh, absolutely. Like what he put up, let's see, 23 points. He got 1 assist and 5 rebounds. I think he's going to be a great player, whether that be on the starting roster or, coming off the bench. Obviously, the bench didn't do too much for this Pelicans team last night. So if he is coming off the bench once Zion returns, I think he'd be a great addition to that bench. But as of now, the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, so let's look at talk about a player you just mentioned earlier, Jonas Valanciunas. Of course, I was hoping he'd have a better debut than we were talking about here, but he did. You guys acquired him in a trade with the Memphis Grizzlies. You gave him a 2-year extension just before the start of the regular season. Just comment on that trade, how he fits in, and if you agree with that extension.
Yeah, so it's a 2-year extension, $30 million. Obviously going to let this season play out, and then there's going to be 2 more seasons. That's when the contract kind of kicks in. I love it because the other day he was talking about how the coaching staff and, just the people around him understand what he wants to kind of become throughout the rest of his career. And they do see that vision that he sees with this organization. He just loves the young guys, and just hearing that from, a 30-plus-year-old that he wants to be here in the city of New Orleans and be that starting center. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, anywhere you go, any if you're a fan of, whatever team, the one thing you want to hear as a fan is a player wanting to play for your team. And that's all you can really ask for, especially a guy like him, one of the top centers in the NBA. The past 11 seasons, the Pelicans have had a new starting center every single year. So hopefully he'll stick around. Hopefully the 11th will be the last, and he'll break that streak of the 11 starters starting in the regular season for the Pelicans. Hopefully he'll be here for a couple more years.
Yeah, that's an insane number I never even thought of. But yeah, you're 100% right there. When you talk about changes, you guys also went through a change at the head coach spot. Just give me your early impressions here of Willie Green. We've had a discussion in the past. We both agreed it was a great hire. Just give me your thoughts on what you're seeing early on.
Just hearing from what been hearing throughout, training camp and the offseason, I think the players love him. They're definitely taking to him. They feel more free when Willie Green is kind of coaching them up. They're Willie Green's allowing them to do a lot more themselves, and he's just definitely a player's coach. Just hearing what he's got to say, allowing them to move the ball a lot more, allowing them to do what they want to do, how they play, and how they're used to playing. I think it's a great fit overall, especially a guy that's, that recently just out of the NBA essentially and has been on championship teams. Can't ask for anything better.
Final question for you. If Zion, with Zion being out, who is someone that has to step up for the Pelicans here while he's gone?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
I feel like the easy answer is Val, especially after yesterday. But this bench can't produce 6 or less points on a night-to-night basis from each individual.
I want to see one of the rookies step up. Let me see Trey Murphy III kind of step up. Let me see him. He was a 50, 40, 90 guy in college, which is unheard of. There's only been, 9 players in the NBA to do it, and 11 in college. So if he can become a 50, 40, 90 player in the NBA, I think this Pelicans team could be very scary in the foreseeable future. And what a steal at the 17th pick if he is able to become that 50, 40, 90 player. Because, like I said, only been 9 players in NBA history do that. It's not an easy task to do whatsoever. So I know he had a rough start in his debut last night, but the preseason games and summer league are a different kind of animal than the regular season. So I think it'll take him a few games to get used to the speed of the game. But I'm not too concerned for him. But to answer your question, Trey Murphy III, I do want to see him step up in light of Zion's absence.
All right, before I let you go, how can our listeners here keep in touch with you on social media and listen to you whenever you're on a podcast for your show on ESPN New Orleans?
Yeah, so you can follow ESPN Radio New Orleans over on Twitter, or you can follow me on Twitter at JD Kliebert. Appreciate your time, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me. This is huge. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. Hey, 3rd time's a charm. Like I said, always enjoy coming on.
Awesome, man. Well, that's me for this episode of the Alec Walt Show. I'm Alec Walt alongside Jordan Kliebert. What do you think of the New Orleans Pelicans here? How long do you think they can last without Zion Williamson here in the Western Conference? Feel free to comment that below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Down the Block Sports for more of my exclusive content. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.